All right, everybody, welcome to live Q&A. This is March 2nd, 2015. It's later than normal, but I like to change the time each week so that somebody somewhere in the world, it's a good time for them. One of these times. This has been a bit of a long day, a good one though. Tomorrow is two of my daughters have their birthdays on the same day. Melody turns 15 and Claire turns 9. But we decided to celebrate that today just because tomorrow was more problematic. Now, apparently not many people read my thing here where I said that I was only answer questions asked during the live feed this time, and yet I have a pile of questions that have already been asked. So, to be fair, I'm going to follow through what I said here and talk about the ones that answer the questions that are asked during the live feed this time. Sometimes I'll answer ones that are asked beforehand, but sometimes it's fair to when the people are here. So, who is the baby that kicks his feet and smacks the board during board game breakfast? That's my son. Now, that was back when he was like 6 months. He is now just over a year old. We call him the red caboose because he's bright red hair now, and he's the last of the kids, so he's the caboose. But anyhow, let's see here. Do you have any? Okay, I'm not gonna. I'm just as some of my disclaimers. I don't know much about upcoming games. I don't keep tabs of all of them, so I don't know when games are coming or what's coming. And when we do know, we will mention it on Dice Tower News. Really, we don't know stuff. If we know stuff and we don't tell you, it's because we're not allowed to yet. But once we're allowed to, we always proclaim it from the rooftops. You once mentioned in the podcast you desired many recorded versions of the Dice Tower theme song. Can you legally provide the sheet music for those of us who also like that idea? Man, I would love that. And I do have the sheet music. I don't remember where I have it. I have a printed out copy at my house, but the composer of the music or somebody wrote out the music, and I love to have a jazz version. Oh, I have a jazz version. But I love a Dixie version, a rock version, a rock and roll version. I love to have all different types of it. But that requires people who are able to do that sort of thing. Let's see here. Can I please comment on the replayability of Alchemists? Yes, it's replayable. As far as I know. Still my collection. Let's see here. Do you ever think you'll visit Canada? I'm certain that that's going to happen. My sister lives in Canada, so you'd think that that might happen at some point. But we'll see. Did I grow up in a Baptist church? Yes. Do you still attend one? Yes. Have you ever been to a Presbyterian church? Yes. Let's see here. Okay, some of these. Hang on, I apologize for the slight delay here, but once again, my my computer mouse slipped, and apparently there is a lot of things going up here. Okay, here we go. How about a wargaming segment on Board Game Breakfast? Well, if no one has yet contacted me with an interest of doing a wargaming segment, if someone was interested in doing such a thing and can work under the boundaries of the show, I would certainly be interested in that. Will you review Merchants and Marauders Seas of Glory? Since I no longer have Merchants and Marauders, probably not. It's difficult sometimes when these expansions come out so much later than the base game. For me to review them, I have to go find a copy of the base game to do so. So if I have the game, that's easy. Yeah, sure, we'll do it. But if I don't, then it may not happen. And in this case, it probably won't. Is Caverna worth the upgrade, even if you still very much enjoy Agricola? I don't know. I mean, as soon as I played it, Agricola immediately lost all its luster for me. And I liked Agricola a lot. But if you really are enjoying Agricola, look, here's the deal. If you enjoy any game, you never need to get a new game. You never need to get a new game. So your best bet is, if you're curious, than to find someone who has it and play someone else's copy. Try it somewhere to see if you'd be interested in it. Go watch the run-throughs. I mean, they can give you a good idea of what the game will feel like, but I'll never tell you that you need to get a game. Or even if it's worth, is it worth getting? If you think you'll have fun playing it, then yes, the game's worth getting, but I have no idea if it's that way for you or not. I can only tell you what it's like for me. For me, yes, it was. Any good jury-themed games? Not many, unless you count like all the Sherlock Holmes consulting detective stuff. My gaming group has never gotten a dungeon crawls, but we might be looking to. Is Descent 2.0 the one to start with? That's the one I would start with. Is it possible to get the Sheriff of Nottingham promo cards from Dice Tower? If they're the Dice Tower Sheriff of Nottingham promo cards, then yes. If they're not the Dice Tower Sheriff of Nottingham promo cards, then no. The ones that we have are shown on our website, and you can see which ones we have. If they're not listed there, then you have to get them through other means, and I do not know how to do that. Let's see here. In Cosmic Encounter, do you use the classic or new version of flares for Empath, Schizoid, and or Filch? Why? Well, I definitely use the classic for Filch. That's my favorite, one of my favorite flares in the game. I don't really care that much. I usually mix them both in the deck, so I guess it gives them a slight more percentage for those to be picked for those aliens, but it doesn't happen that often. Will I do a top 10 survivors from Dead of Winter? I don't know, probably not. Mostly because, as interesting as I find the different characters in the game, they're kind of one and done, they're gone, and it's not like, ooh, I remember this person. I would pick most of them because I just get a kick out of it. I might, but that seems almost too narrow in scope on that one. Let's see here. How do you mix games in Dungeons & Dragons Adventure System board games? How do you choose what goes in? Everything goes in for me. I put all the monsters, all the treasure, everything in. Now, I play a specific scenario from one of the games, but then everything else is mixed in. That dilutes a few things, but it's not too big of a deal, and I think it's a lot of fun because you never know what monster is going to come out. Do you have any recommendations for upgrading components from the Resistance? Nope. Get sleeves if the cards are getting marked. Am I backing any current Kickstarters? I don't believe I am. I did recently back the Orleans one just because I heard that it was not going to be available outside of the Kickstarter, and I really like the game. But I am not currently backing any. I usually back stuff that's like components and stuff. The new Dwarf and Forge Kickstarter's around the corner, so we'll see if I don't even know if I'll back that. Can I give a ballpark on how many people have entered the Minx contest from last week's Board Game Breakfast? It was several hundred last I checked. I haven't checked for a few days, though. I'll go through and check them a little bit later. Can we expect more of my favorite game in the video, Sentinels of the Multiverse? Well, I have gotten the newest expansion for it, so I'll probably review that at some point. Will we do a live play of it? I don't know if we will or not. It's so easy to make a rules mistake in Sentinels of the Multiverse, and we get raked over the coals for the mistakes we make now, so maybe. Let's see here. We'll be in Vegas for GTS. What are you looking forward to? I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the new stuff and the buffets. And seeing some new games from publishers and meeting the publishers and designers and buffets. GTS is a great, if you're in the industry, because it's a way to talk to designers and publishers and retailers in a fairly quiet atmosphere. It's not that crowded, not that busy. And so I get to see a lot of cool things. I'm excited about going, but I think, honestly, the thing I'm most excited about is just getting to meet the different people there. And this year, I'm really excited about the coverage that the Dice Tower is going to have, because For the last 2 years, we've sent a team of people, 2 people. The first year was Eric and me. Last year, I was moving and having a baby, so it was Eric and Dan. This year, we're sending 4 people, and we're splitting into 2 groups of 2, so we'll be able to cover twice as much, hopefully, this way. We're going to try to do some stuff live from there, though that live stuff is always very risky because it depends on the internet connection. And but our Twitter feed will be on fire, hopefully. We'll be tweeting out all the news that's announced there. I'm very excited about it. Let's see here. Okay, that's a good question. Eric says he likes the YouTube channel. Can I describe the topics content provided on the podcast? Is it different than the info covered in Breakfast, Blender, and the Q&As? I try to make everything that we do on the Dice Tower, I try to make everything that we do different. Okay? So, like for example, our top 10s that I do with Sam and Z are very raucous affairs. You know, we're always, you know, yelling at each other's choices, and it's meant to be taken in fun, and it's not always, but I mean, for us it is, but it's not always felt that way from people watching, but it's a good time. The Q&As, I try to do a personal between me and the viewers, so you can kind of just get to know me in a personal way. Board Game Breakfast is a variety show, so is Board Game Blender. The Dice Tower has audio show is kind of split into 2 distinct shows at this point. One show is a variety show. We have different contributors on. It's very similar to Board Game Breakfast, but there's a and then the second part is where we do a top 10 list and we answer questions from listeners, and so they kind of have a different feel. But the biggest difference between the audio podcast and the video one is Eric Summerer. Eric Summerer is a fantastic co-host. He has a very different feel for games than I, Z, Sam, any of those guys does, and he's also an excellent co-host. We really work well together, I think. I mean, you might disagree on that, but I think we really work well together. It's a more mild show. We take, you know, mild jabs at each other, but it's not like the knockdown dragouts that me and Sam and Z have. But I think we have a lot of fun on the show, and it's really, you know, it's the thing that really kind of started everything. And it's been going strong. We got a lot of great contributors, and I like the format of the show, even though I'm always looking to see how we can shake it up and things. So, is it different? The answer really is yes. I mean, there's going to be some overlap in content, but not that much. Just listen to one. If you don't like it, no big deal. But if you like it, I don't know, hopefully you will. If I can only keep the games from one square hole of my shelves, what square would I choose? Oh man, that's a tough one. As I look back here at them, where's Cosmic Encounter? Oh man. See, I got Cosmic Encounter, but then I got Los Monfos, Royals, and Escape. I don't know that I like all those games, but I don't know that I would pick those to be kept. Let's see. If I can only keep one, then at this point in time, probably the Descent shelf, because that would give me so much game to play forever and ever. I don't know. Any plans to visit the MegaCon in Orlando? I don't think so. Let's see. When I did not have a good experience last time I was at MegaCon, so probably not. MegaCon is April 10th to 12th, 2015. Highly unlikely. Again, it wasn't very enjoyable last time we went. Sorry. Why did you live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania? I didn't. I live in Allentown, Pennsylvania, but that's a hop, skip, and a jump from Lancaster. So it was a lot of fun to go there and spend time. I grew up in Allentown the first 17 years of my life. Let's see. Am I legally allowed to marry people? Yes, I am. I am ordained, and I have married exactly 2 couples, and one of them are still together. A very good friend of mine, and so I'm very pleased with that. That just happened recently. Not to mention, I snuck the "So Say We All" into the wedding ceremony, but it was a good time. I don't get often asked that. And how much do you charge? I don't know. Probably do it for free, I guess. I mean, if I knew the people. Will you ever play Where a Coca? Will you ever play Where a Coca? I don't know how to pronounce it. With Z, probably. Besides zombies and Lovecraft, what's your least favorite theme in games? Actually, Lovecraft isn't as annoying to me because I think Lovecraft has a deep and rich story, even though I actually don't like Lovecraft stories themselves. I find they're too, I don't know what the word is, Victorian. They're too wordy. They're too, as I read them, I feel like I'm slogging through it. But anyhow, the Cthulhu mythos is pretty interesting. There's a lot of cool things about it, and there's all kinds of interesting monsters. Zombies are just zombies. You can say, oh, there's fast zombies and big zombies and dog zombies, but you kind of run out of it after a while. But anyhow, Trading of the Mediterranean is one of my least favorite themes. Any theme I think that I'm getting a little tired of, let's build the castle, fortress, whatever we're building, let's all get together and build it. You know, come on, let's pick something new. I'm also getting a little tired of generic fantasy. Someone mentioned the other day, because I came down on hard on a few games for generic fantasy, and I didn't come down hard on D&D game for that, but that's because that's D&D's. It's not generic for them. That's their fantasy. They made it up. Everyone else just copies them. I appreciate that Descent has moved in a different direction. They're making up monsters I never even heard of. I think that's kind of cool. What's my least favorite summoner faction for Summoner Wars? I don't know if I have a least favorite faction. Maybe the Filth. They're interesting. I just can't play them very well. So that's what I'm going to say for now. I don't dislike the Filth per se. I'm just not good at playing them. I really got to stop. Every once in a while, this thing just jumps all the way down to the bottom of the comments, and then I can see that I am really far behind. All right, here we go. Why do you think you liked Russian Railroad so much when you hated Vasco da Gama? Neither game conveys a feeling of doing anything or being about anything, and I agree on that. I think the main difference for me was Russian Railroads I thought was a fun game, while Vasco da Gama wasn't fun at all, and the theme was terrible. Vasco da Gama was kind of a turning point for me where I just suddenly had this epiphany of, oh my, stop trying to make this game thematic when it doesn't. Stop having mechanism in the game for no reason. Russian Railroads is essentially this very, not complex, but just a fancy scoring system. And I don't know why I liked it, because it was very straightforward. Vasco da Gama had just a lot of little silly rules and things. I just wasn't a big fan of it. But I'm not saying Russian Railroads has a strong theme, because it does not. Do you think you'll be able to keep Board Game Blender distinct from Board Game Breakfast? I should hope so, since I have no creative control or very little creative control over Board Game Blender. That's Z's show, so I would assume they're different. I thought they were different enough as it started. I mean, we have similar formats, but his show was, I thought, much more towards the humor side than mine was. Let's see here. Will I be doing a video on the new X-Wing ships? Maybe, but I haven't even got them yet, so I don't know. How do you store my Dice Masters? I showed that in the Board Game Breakfast a bit ago. Actually, I can't show you. I was going to pull the box out here and get it for you guys, but I have them all over the place because I'm getting ready to review DC Dice Masters. You'd love to see a live play of an abstract game. Yeah, I don't think many other people will be interested in that. Maybe someday we'll do it, but I don't think abstract games are that fascinating to watch. Let's see. Any chance of you making an appearance in the Co-optional Lounge? I never even heard of that. Who is my daddy? Who's my father, and what does he do? My father is currently a delivery man in Nebraska. He's worked hard his entire life, supported 5 kids, got us all into college, and now we're scattered. I got a sister in Canada, a sister in Oregon, a brother in Pennsylvania, and a brother in Indiana. and a wide range of activities between all of us. And my father made it all possible by working very hard his entire life on just a high school education. And I appreciate my father very much, training me, teaching me the right way to do things, instilling into me a hard work ethic, and I appreciate that. Let's see. What's your favorite monster and spy in Spectre Ops? Well, monster, I like the wolf, and spy, I like the spider creature guy. Let's see here. Are there any aliens that you've removed from Cosmic Encounter because they're similar to others? No, not really. If people want to use similar ones, that's fine by me. Can we expect more and more Dice Steeple or Dice Next Gen, or have those projects been Deep 6? No, Dice Steeple is currently, I found someone who's willing to help me with the editing, and so they're working on that right now, so we should have one up, I'm going to guess, within a week or two of the next Dice Steeple, and then the one beyond that has already been recorded, so you should see those, and then I'm getting ready to record the next one. Dice Tower Next Gen is a little bit slower because it's a lot of work for me to edit those things, and that's a lot of extra time, and it's Melody's project, and she wanted to do it, but she doesn't really know anything about editing and all that effort that goes into editing, and I feel really bad about that because I'd love to edit it. If I could find someone who'd be willing to edit the Dice Tower Next Gen, I could get those up maybe faster, but even then, getting those recorded is difficult to get all the different people together. Neither one has been Deep 6. Dice Tower Next Gen is a little slower, but Dice Steeple will be back for sure. Would you like to have Magical Athlete as part of Dice Tower Essentials line? No. And I'll tell you why. I really like Magical Athlete. It's silly fun. But because of what Magical Athlete is, which is just silly, entertainingly fun, and we've made a kind of an expansion type, someone made an expansion for me with all these different characters, and I love playing with it, and it's silly, but it's a very small subset of people, I think, who would like it. Okay, the Dice Tower Essential games are games I think everybody should get. And we have just concluded negotiations on the third game, but as soon as the contracts are signed and such, we will announce it and I will let you guys know. But anyhow, so Magical Athlete, I've thought about it. I thought maybe I could run a Kickstarter and print out like 500 of them for the people who would really like it, but I don't know if that's worth it. So I've kind of let that one's laying dormant. I don't even have the rights to it anyway, but I haven't even hunted them down, even though I like the game. Do you think Stronghold games will continue to expand? I think Stronghold games will expand to the limit that they have, which is right now, it's still not being the completely full-time job of Stephen Bonacore. I think that it has expanded quite a bit. They've picked up a lot of different games. Has it reached a max? I don't know. That's something we'll have to wait and see this year. My daughter's a huge Wizard of Oz fan. Are there any good games based on the books that you can recommend? Not that I know of. There was a card game that GameSloot gave me as a preview, and it was okay. It was okay. And that one, I think, is still in developmental limbo. I don't know if it's actually been printed out and come out with yet. Would you ever consider playing one of the Flip the Table games? It might be funny to watch a heated game of mall madness between Sam Z, Tom, and Jason. Yeah, I've thought about that. That might be silly fun sometime. But the problem is these things are entertaining and all, but they take away from us playing actual real games. So there's always that in the back of my mind. Also, I don't have any of these old trashy games. I told the Flip the Table guys, though, if we run into each other at a convention, I'll play Mall Madness, all right? Just one time. What's stored in those pretty decorated boxes with the tree patterns on them? Oh, yeah. You can't see them over here. Those are just cloth. There's cloth containers that slide into these shelves that IKEA makes, and you can buy real cheap ones at Walmart. Although you got to be careful because most of the cloth drawers that fit in shelves are 11 by 11, and these shelves are 13 by 13, or just shy of 13 by 13. And so most of the shelves will rattle around in these. You got to buy the right size. I found those online. I thought it looked really cool. So In them, the top 2 have HeroScape pieces in them, and the bottom 2 have piles of small card games. But I really like how that looks. I really like that on my shelf. And at some point, I'll probably add one on the other side so that it balances out. Do you have any particular tips for organizing game boxes that lack inserts? Beyond just bagging everything. That's my tip. Bag everything. Why haven't you been in Board Game Blender? Well, it's Z's show, you know. One of the things is I need to give him the creative freedom to do what he wants to do, and I don't need to be in everything. Okay, the Dice Tower is not Tom Vassell. There's a lot of Tom Vassell in the Dice Tower. But as time goes by, I don't need to be in every show. And let's say there was a 3rd show that's in the works that might show up at some point in the second half of 2015. I don't know that I'll be in that show either. Just saying. Let's see here. Having watched Chaz's segment on thrifting, did you guys watch that this morning? That was crazy in Board Game Breakfast. Chaz was like showing us his thrift store, and it looked like a library of used games. You know, most thrift stores I've been to have maybe this many games, you know, from here to here. His looked like my gaming shelves. Now, I mean, except the games are pretty terrible. And although he did pass a couple games as I was scanning through that weren't that bad. But, of course, you can't say it in the segment. He wanted to point out the ones that were pretty horrible. I was just in awe of a thrift store that had that many board games. Okay, anyhow. What's the best game find you personally have gotten at the thrift store? When I was a kid, there was a thrift store near my house called American Family, and they sold board games in their used section, and I don't think anyone else ever went there. And as a kid, I went there. During the summer, I went to the store every day. Almost. I was a geek, and I went to see what new board games they had in, because like, every once in a while, they had some old Avalon Hill games, and then I would hope that they were like $1 or less so I could afford them. And so I got many of those old Avalon Hill games back then. Didn't understand how to play most of them, but those were my best finds. And then World Beaters. World Beaters was a game it was an older Euro-style game where you moved around the world going from location to location. It's very nostalgic for me. I still, one of these days, I'll hunt down a copy of it and get one, just so I can like look at it again. And that game really was like, wow, this is something different with games. It was just a very interesting game for me to play. And I've also gotten, when I became an adult, I found a copy of Hero Quest one time for $2. That was good. And I found a couple good party games. But I don't often go to thrift stores for a couple reasons. One, I don't need games. Two, the thrift stores in this area of South Florida, I don't know if I extend out if they're better, but there's just not many board games, if any. They're pretty terrible overall. One time I went to a thrift store for the sole purpose of buying a bunch of games. This was way back when I wanted to burn some games and destroy games on video. So I went to buy these really trashy games so I could do that. And I bought a pile, and they were almost all were missing pieces, which completely got rid of my guilt about destroying the games. Have you ever played Boss Monster? Yes, I've reviewed it. I love Board Game Breakfast and never miss it, but I miss Scott Nicholson. Any chance you'll see him come back? That is up to Scott. He said that he felt like he had done what he had meant to do with his segment, and so he was going to move on, and that's his choice. I would have kept him on as long as he wanted to be on the show, and I'm really thankful for what he did when he was here. That's a good idea. David says, would you consider making a fact video for people who ask the same questions in every live feed? That would be interesting. Maybe I should do that. Questions were always asked. That's a good idea. That actually might happen over 2015. Let's see here. Thoughts on Memoir 44 D-Day Landing? I haven't seen you review it. Mostly because it requires a good chunk of people to play at one time. We have it, and Sam was like really itching to play it, but we need a lot of people at one time who are willing to play Memoir 44. This person asks, they have a lot of games and I had prototypes, but they don't have experience in connecting with companies. To show my games, what are your suggestions for this? 100% go to a convention. If you email companies, they're going to be like, okay, maybe you'll get through to them. But you need to go to conventions, and you need to go to conventions and start making relationships with people first. Networking is a really big deal. You know people in the gaming industry. You have the opportunity then to later on say, hey, remember me? Let me show you this game, and they might be interested in it. I was playing a game with a friend recently, and we had a lot of fun. However, at the end, they said they felt like they had just wasted their time. Have you ever encountered this attitude? Yes. Any rebuttal? I apologize. I'm sorry I wasted your time. Let's play the next game. I don't know what else to do. Even a bad game, I don't often feel like I wasted my time. I get really irritated at some bad games, and I get irritated when I think the game is going to be good. There's a game this week that thought was going to be great, and it was not. Barry, stop listing top 10 ideas. Put them all in one email and send them to me. All right. Let's see. Which Dice Master set would you recommend? If you're only getting one, I would probably say the Dungeons and Dragons one. If you plan to get expansions, then just pick what is your favorite. Do you like the X-Men? Get Uncanny X-Men. Do you like the Avengers? Get Avengers vs. X-Men. Do you like DC? Get the DC one. If you like Yu-Gi-Oh, get the DC one. So, let's see. Have you and the guys ever considered going to different events like Dragon Con? I have. I actually was considering going to Dragon Con this year. The thing is, though, we have to kind of justify why we're going to a convention, okay? So, let me tell you a little bit about the conventions that we're going to this year and how I justify them. So we're going to GTS. GTS is really easy to justify because we're going there, we're working, we get to see all the publishers, we get lots of news. Every year we've gone there, we've gotten scoops and news and like a preview of all the games that are coming out over the course of the year. Origins is kind of like that again. This year I'm also going to the Gathering of Friends, where I hope to do some networking and talk to publishers and designers and take a little bit of a break, but play as many games as possible so that I can talk about them in the future. Board Game Geek is very similar in that regard. Talk to publishers and designers, but mostly to play games and meet people there. And meeting and talking to our fans is one of the reasons we go to conventions too. Gen Con and Essen because they're just industry events. So many new games are released at both of those. And Dice Tower Con, well, that's our con. You know, that's more fun than anything else. So anything other than that, like Dragon Con, we could go there, but it wouldn't really be important to us industry-wise. I thought about going there and getting as many cosplayers to say shut the door as I could, but I don't know how useful that is in the long run. And while, yes, there's gaming there, I don't know how much important gaming industry stuff happens there. So if we went there, that'd be fine. I think you'll start seeing us do more of this, maybe sending one person to these events as time goes by. What's my favorite part of running the Dice Tower? Going to conventions and meeting the people who enjoy it. Easily. If I only have 2 days, Saturday and Sunday at Origins, what do you recommend I do there? I recommend you go through the exhibit hall, check it out, look at all the stuff that they have there, and get in demos of games and try out new games. That's what I would do. How many times have you played Dice Master since the last live play? I did the last live play 2 weeks ago, so maybe I played it twice since then. Do I still really enjoy it? Yes, I love the game. I don't know if I can make that clear. I love it. Let's see here. How's Melody's Zoo internship going? I think she's down to 2 more weeks of the training, and then she does it for real. So we'll see how that goes then. Let's see here. Adam says, what are your thoughts on Trickerion? Will you be getting a review copy? I don't know. I actually had my hands on one of the prototype copies, although I never played it. I passed it along to a company for that company to look at. I was very impressed with how it looked. I mean, for a prototype, it looked like they could have published right then and there. The idea and the theming behind it, looks so good. And that's the extent I know about it. So, I'm interested in it, but I don't know much more about it. What's my favorite book of the Bible? Acts. because it's full of action. Cats or dogs? Did you say demons or angels? That's pretty easy, I think. Dogs, by a mile. Dogs, then fish, then ferrets and hamsters, and no, not hamsters, but ferrets at least before cats. Will there be any Dice Tower presents at PAX East? No, PAX East is one of those ones that I'm very seriously considering having some sort of presence at, but it doesn't seem like it has required a presence. There are some companies that go there, but most of the companies that go to PAX, we often can cross reference with them elsewhere, and PAX is so hard to get into. It sells out instantly. It's hard to get in there and find a spot. So if it was made easier for us somehow, something fortuitous happened that we could get in there, maybe, but it's also really close to Gamma Trade Show, and that's much more important, I think, for us at the Dice Tower. Has anyone in your family or very close friends ever served in the military? Well, my uncle was in Desert Storm, and Desert Shield. Sorry, not Desert Storm, Desert Shield. My grandfather was in World War II. My brother is a police officer. My brother-in-law is a Mountie. But that's the extent of for like close family, at least. I saw you wearing a Grand Con shirt once. Have you ever been? No, but they gave it to me, so I wore it. Let's see here. Any news on the Versus card system? You know, I don't know. I thought, it's really interesting. I played it, and I haven't reviewed it. Mostly because it was just basically, they just reprinted the basic game. And I'll tell you, it hasn't aged well. I played it and I was like, why am I not playing Hearthstone? I mean, that's really how I felt about it. I love superheroes. But after playing games like Dice Masters and Legendary, where I felt like the superheroes, I mean, I think DC Deck Builder has more theme than Versus does. It just, I don't know. I know it's a good game, I get, and I remember enjoying it a lot, but man, I just did not enjoy the the old version now. I feel like games have progressed beyond the point that Versus was at. Will I do top 10 characters from Dice Masters at some point? Let's see here. I know the Kickstarter campaign, you said you would not physically sign items. We back to Christmas card level. Will you personally be signing those? Yes, those I will be signing. My whole family will be signing those. And there's a lot of them. I think there's 120 or 30. So it will be assembly line-ish. And I apologize if I don't write out like a whole personal note to each person. But I will sign them at least. We'll see what else I can do. Would it be possible to group the informational videos like explaining board game terms into a playlist on your YouTube channel? Actually, we're gonna on our new website. There's a page that says if you're new to board games, and we'll put them there, and it will be in a playlist on YouTube. I usually don't make something a playlist so there's like 3 or 4 videos of that subject because it just seems odd to have a playlist of 2 things. Forgive me. Am I going to bring people in for future live Q&As? I will sometimes. It's just hard to get people here all the time to do the Q&As. And now as I say that, Jason will call me probably next week and say, I could have been there. I know. But we also do live Q&As with these guys after we do each of our live playthroughs. What was your inspiration for Nothing Personal? The game Kremlin was very much so. And so was other games, Cosmic Encounter, and some of the aspects of Twilight Imperium and Puerto Rico, and just different things that came into it, like, ooh, well, this is a good idea. Even like card-driven war games gave me the idea of using cards in different ways. I thought that was a fun thing to do. Is there a difference between an overrated and an overplayed game? Seems like in the overrated top 10 show, you guys thought it was overrated due to playing it too much. That, I believe, would be my compatriots. I think things are overrated because I think the game isn't nearly as good as people say it is. It's such a very personal type thing, though. So I would take those lists always with a grain of salt. Let's see here. You live in Allentown? No, I don't live in Allentown. I lived in Allentown until I was 17, which is now 21 years ago that I have lived in Allentown. How long do I plan to make these live streams? I usually keep them at an hour. What did I have for breakfast today? The same thing I did every day, Pinky. No, I eat the same thing every day. It's very healthy. I alternate every day. I either eat a hard-boiled egg and fruit, or I eat a piece of white cheese and fruit. That's it. Same thing every day. Or every other day. I eat cheese one day, egg the next day. I don't miss breakfast at all. Oh, and then a cup of hot tea. Got to get going. I wake up at 6:30 and I'm working at 6:35. I got to get cranking and get things done each day. Let's see. A live play of Magical Athlete? I thought we did a live play of Magical Athlete. If we didn't, we should at some point, because that would be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Let's see. Favorite role-playing game? I haven't played that many, so that's not a very fair question. Right now, it'd be Pathfinder. But I haven't played many others. I've only played Pathfinder, D&D 3.5, D&D 3.0, and Heroes Unlimited. And an older card-driven game based on Dragonlance, but I can't remember what the name of it was. Some guy ran it, and I thought it was interesting. Oh man, Heroes Unlimited was so cool. Sat there and spent so much time building these heroes, and then I realized the books don't actually teach you how to play the game. For example, they have this really long, they have a whole page, right, giving an example of how driving works. Well, that's fantastic, but how does the rest of the game work? They have you roll up stats, and then they don't tell you what these stats mean, or do, or anything. The game is, it's like you have to make up the game. I was just mind-boggled by that. So I did. I made up a game that I thought fit the rules. I mean, because they have these detailed power creation rules, which are amazing. I mean, they're great. But the gameplay itself wasn't there. It's such a disappointing thing. I bought everything for Heroes Unlimited. I bought Powers Unlimited, Powers Unlimited 2, Aliens Unlimited. Oh, so many options. You can make any superhero you can imagine. Have fun figuring out how to play it, though. Let's see here. How do you feel about the increased popularity of board gaming having a bigger impact on the environment? I don't know that it makes any difference at all at this point. If more people are playing board games, they're probably not doing something else. So I'm going to guess it evens out. But I would not know. Let's see here. 2015 appears like it will be a weak year in game offerings relative to the last 3 years. I'll tell you what, that is absolutely impossible to say prior to, I would say, August. You really can't even have any kind of grasp what the year is like. Most of the best games of the year come out at Gen Con and Essen. They really do. And a few come out at Origins, and a few come out in the spring, and some come out at Christmas after Essen. But for the most part, the summer is where we see all the games come out for over the course of the year. So there's no possible way we know whether a year is weak or not. I certainly cannot call it on March 2nd. Let's see here. Coke or Pepsi? You know, I'm now 3 weeks and 3 days into no drinking anything but water, and occasionally I drink a vitamin water or something along those lines, and every once in a while a Diet Sprite, because Diet Sprite is the least offensive, least fattening soda. So I'm doing okay, and I don't mind actually. Coke and Pepsi has never really done it for me. It's the sweet tea that I miss. Oh, I love sweet tea, but that's okay. But I think it's been making me healthier. I'm trying to make steps over time. Like, so for the last 3.5 weeks, I have not drunk any sweet drinks at all, and I haven't eaten any sweets either. I haven't eaten candy or cake or pie, and it's saddening. But so that's my first step in my changing my lifestyle somewhat. As I'm turning 40, I need to be more healthy and look into ways to stay healthy. So, and I really can feel the difference, at least with the drinking water all the time, and not eating sweets. So I do miss them though, but let's see how if we can continue this. Let's see here. Let's see here. Do you cook or grill? I grill every once in a while. My wife says I need to grill more often, and so I probably need to. I like to grill. When I grill, I try to grill as much stuff as possible. I'm like, all right, if I'm going to grill, we're going to grill everything in the fridge. So we do. But what I really like to make, I make my own salsa sometimes, which is, I really enjoy doing that. I haven't done it in over a year now, though. And I like making beef stew. I think I make a pretty decent beef stew. Or like any kind of stew, I like making those. I can cook. I don't cook very often, but I can. And I like to. I eat a lot of food when I'm cooking, though. All right. Will I do a top 10 Descent Heroes list? Yes. What type of sleeves do I use for Summoner Wars? I use Summoner Wars sleeves. Yes, they make their own sleeves now. I think you can get them on their website. That's what I use. What size of t-shirt do I use? What? That seems so personal. It's a double XL. But I would like to, within a year, get it down to XL. All right, let's see. Some of you guys are asking the same questions twice. When can we donate for the Arcadia Quest promo? You never answered this question. Oh, I have answered this question. And the answer is when I tell you. Really, I can't. I can't even remotely let people donate for those until the Kickstarter stuff has gone out. So once the Kickstarter stuff has all been delivered, then we will look at what we have left, and then we will make allow donations for that. But there's nothing we can do until then. The whole reason we have Kickstarter is so that we're not having to worry about this stuff over the course of the year. So we'll make it available, but it really honestly isn't a priority. The Kickstarter is my priority. Getting the Kickstarter fulfilled is next priority, and then getting the Dice Tower going then is what we're supposed to be doing. We're working on some Kickstarter stuff this week, but my hope is to, having Z has really helped out working with the Kickstarter, is to continue on. I have a set schedule on how the different things happen. We're now, all the stuff has been ordered, dice towers, dice, poker chips, and all that stuff. So that stuff will start showing up soon, and once we're completely fulfilled, we will send things out. Do I still play the Old Mage Knight? No. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I could play it today. I think everyone who I talk to seems to think that HeroClix does a better job, so I'd probably play that first. Thoughts on Sales of Glory? I never played it. I never got it. It's one of those games like, oh, that sounds interesting. I should try it. Just have never played it, so I don't know. It doesn't sound like you mentioned here in the question. It doesn't seem like it's as varied as different spaceships would be, or like in the Attack Wing, how the different creatures are. And that's true, but it still might be a good game. Have you ever made any of your own HeroScape customs? I have not made my own HeroScape customs, but I have had other people make them for me. I have a lot of DC and Marvel superheroes. I have some fantasy stuff. I have some Ents and some wood creatures and stuff that I really like using. Let's see here. I live 25 minutes from Shady Maple. Do you want me to ship you some whoopie pies? This is kind of anathema for someone who lived in Pennsylvania. Whoopie pies are okay, although I just said I'm not eating sweets. But I never thought they were all that in a bag of chips. The thing that Pennsylvania had that was amazing was Tasty Cake. Now, fortunately, Tasty Cake has spread. It's up and down the whole East Coast. I mean, it's in Florida now, which is fantastic because if you've ever had the chocolate peanut butter tandy cakes from Tasty Cake, or even just their cupcakes. I mean, they're nothing compared to like a real cupcake, but they make Little Debbie's cry with how much better they are than Little Debbie's and Twinkies and all that nonsense. Really, some of you guys like asking these questions multiple times. I'm going to start like banning people who ask questions more than once. No, I'm not going to do that, but really stop. Have I ever tried to make my own game? Look up Nothing Personal on Board Game Geek. Let's see here. How do you politely ask people to hurry up who take a long time during their turns? Well, you could do what everyone else does. Whose turn is it? I don't know. We use the poker chips. So you just put the snail in front of the person. Boom. It's your turn, buddy. There are so many games out there for the review. How do you filter them all? We really are making more and more of a filter. A few weeks ago, me and Z went through all the games, right? We pulled out all the games I have in my queue, and we said, are we ever going to play a review of this? And some of them were just like, no, it's never going to happen. Doesn't even look remotely interesting. And out it goes. My pile has gone down considerably, although there's still quite a few games in it. Will Z be able to attend more of the conventions in his new role with the Dice Tower? And the answer to that is yes. Z will be at Gamma Trade Show, Origins, Gen Con, Board Game Geek Con, and Essen, I believe. Not 100% sure on all those, but that's what we're looking at so far. Will I be doing top 10 stuff for Mage Wars? Yes. Yes, I really like Mage Wars, and I really look forward to making top 10. It's going to be harder for me to make a top 10 because with Summoner Wars, I just went through all the cards, right, as I made them. For Mage Wars, they're all my different spell books, so I'm going to have to go through each spell book and pull them out, and then remember what spell book I pulled the stuff out from, because I don't have, like, tons of duplicates and things. I already know some of the cards that are in my top 10, though. Let's see. Have I played the new Scum and Villainy expansion for X-Wing? I've not got those yet. It says you don't play sports, you play sports board games. Which sports do you watch? I don't watch sports, and I know that's kind of anathema. I like the idea of sports. I think sports are really interesting. I used to watch baseball more often, and I still do enjoy baseball, but baseball's been kind of ruined by me just by the whole steroids and drugs thing. It's some of my favorite players who I really liked were caught up in that, and it's just kind of discouraging. Basketball and football, never been too big a fan of those because of just in basketball, the egos involved, and both sports, the way that other people invest their lives so much into them, and how they have a horrible week when their team loses, that just really bugs me. I think the sport that I probably enjoy watching the most is football or soccer, you know. I think that's an interesting one, but I hardly ever watch sports because it's just not that interesting. I like sports movies. I love sports movies, but sports themselves, I don't know. Let's see here. Let's see, people talk about buying games at cons. Is this just to get games early, or is there another benefit? There's almost never any other benefit. It's to get them early. And sometimes you get these games way earlier than everybody else, like months. But really, it's not worth it on a casual level. It really isn't. You can go to a game convention and buy a game. And one cool thing about buying a game at a game convention is you are directly supporting the publisher. He doesn't have to... He makes more money on that game. However, that being said, even though he does make way more money on that game than he normally makes, almost all the money they make on their games is usually spent paying for the booths and the transportation and the logistics of dealing with the convention itself. But it's fun to go to conventions. You get to see the games and buy them on a spot and play test them. And I think it's good, but I don't think that it's a necessary thing to do. Let's see. Do I still play Heroes Incorporated? No, it's been a long time. Heroes Incorporated was an interesting game, and I was glad to play it when it came out. I would probably not even give it time of day today because there are so many better superhero games. But when it came out, it was cool. There were some interesting ideas in it, but it does feel a little bit dated now when I look back at it. Let's see here. Who's my favorite YouTuber? Well, probably my daughter, right? Wouldn't that make sense? What game do you think didn't get the attention it deserved this year? Well, there's a lot of games like that. Man, there's a lot of games I thought didn't get the attention they deserved. I don't think Arcadia Quest got the attention it deserved. I really think that game would be like one of the top games of the year, but because of the Kickstarter model, I think and who knows? There's other smaller games too that probably didn't get the attention it deserved. Sometimes you guys ask me if I plan to review a game, and then I know I have reviewed it, so you should probably check my reviews first. Do I see women over 50-ish at game cons? Yes. Let's see here. Where do you get good and cheap artwork for your own game? Pick one of those two. I don't think good artwork comes cheap very often. But there's lots of artists on the web. I think DeviantArt and other places. I mean, there's big gatherings of them. You can go there and hunt down, and maybe you'll find someone who will do art for your game. Let's see here. How many books did you read in my life? Thousands and thousands. Yesterday, none. But the day before, I think I read a book. Let's see here. Do you like pie? I love pie, but why do you guys ask me about this when I just told you I can't eat sweets? So mean. What's my favorite Carcassonne expansion? I think it's either... Well, I'm going to just be vague on this because I am doing my top 100 expansions of Board Game Breakfast, so I have them in there. But it's either Carcassonne the Tower or Carcassonne Builders and Traders. One of those two. Or the Catapult. I should just say that because that would irritate everyone. Why do you like the Catapult? Because I think it's hilarious. Let's see. I'm thinking about getting one of the D&D board games. Which one would you recommend? I'm leaning towards the Drizzt one. If price isn't an option, Drizzt is probably a cool one, especially if you like the characters from that one. I thought the new one was really nice. It was kind of a good intro to the series. It had the basic character classes. I'm curious to see how they'll change as time goes by. I think they're all cool. I think you should pick the one that, if you want one with a big giant red dragon, get Wrath of Shardlin. You know, if you want one with a Shadow Dragon and Elementals, then get the new set. If you want, you know, Drizzt, get his set. Let's see here. What's your favorite war game? We did our top 10 war games on that. Of course, that made people angry because the games we like aren't war games. I tried to meet you at Gen Con last year and missed you every day. Will you be around more this year? Well, I'm going to be around the same as I am. Gen Con is a very busy time for us, and we run around as much as we can. We try to meet people. We'll have a booth at Gen Con again, so hopefully this year we'll have some scheduled time, so you'll know Tom Bass will be in the booth this time. And I've also am scheduling a few less other events so I can be at the booth more often. But the Dice Tower show, I mean, if you want to meet us, that is definitely one place where we will be at that show. Let's see here. And once again, my thing jumped, so I'm just going to go from the bottom up now. Let's see. Has your eldest daughter's choice in board games influenced your taste in games? Not really. I like playing games with them. Let's see here, but I don't know that her what she likes influences me. Last night we cracked out some of the new. We played 2 decks from the new Commander series that came out in 2015. Or maybe it was no, I'm sorry. I think it was the end of 2014. Whatever, the new Commander decks, and that was really fun. We played green versus white. And I kept getting land after land after... No, I kept getting lots of big creatures, but no lands, and she kept getting tons of lands and nothing to put them out. Then once we were able to get the stuff, it just became this gigantic slugfest, which was a lot of fun. Have you ever had to kick someone out of your game group? No, I don't. I never had to do that. I don't know that... If I had to, I would try to make it seem... I would try to get that person to think they were leaving of their own accord, rather than kick them out, I think is what I would do. Oh, I did catch up to the bottom. That's very exciting. Do I consider myself a celebrity? Not even close, guys. I wouldn't even want to be a celebrity. I mean, when I go to a game convention and people are coming up to me all the time and saying, hey, Tom, I love your videos, and that's great and that's fun, because I know that even if it was irritating, which it isn't, but let's say it was irritating a little bit, it would be over in a week, right? But if you're a celebrity, you have to deal with that every single day, all the time. You never get away with that. How would that even be fun? How are Sam and Jason affiliated with Dice Tower? At this point in time, they're like just my friends, really. Jason has a very good job doing video editing, and Sam is a teacher, and so both of them are doing those jobs. So that's what makes him really different than Z. Z's here working over the course of the week on the Dice Tower, doing different things. How do you keep an honest player from winning Sheriff of Nottingham? By lying like crazy. Sometimes the honest players win in our group, but the liars win a lot too. You can get a whole lot of illegal goods through. It feels good. Let's see here. Hey, time's up. All right, I'll answer 2 more questions here. Let's see. I'll pick them out from the last questions here. Any co-ops you've never won? I've never won Yggdrasil. Haven't played it as much though. And I have not yet won Robinson Crusoe. Z has, but I have not. Let's see here. How often do I get recognized outside of gaming conventions? Hardly ever. It does happen occasionally. I've been to places and someone says, hey, you're Tom Vassell, or you're that guy from YouTube. Yeah, I'm that guy from YouTube, but that's okay. I just was in a store today. I was in Yankee Candle, and I was buying candles because I love candles. And that's one of my things I like. I love different candles. They have a new jelly bean candle. Smells amazing. So the ladies asked me what I did because they saw me carrying around a hard drive and stuff. I bought another 6 terabyte hard drive for the Dice Tower. We have a lot of video. And so I told them I was a reviewer of board games. And every time I tell people, they're like, that's the coolest job in the world. That's always the response. Oh, what's your favorite game? That's always the second response. And I said, well, you probably haven't heard of it, but one of my favorite games is Ticket to Ride. That's usually my response. They're like, oh, we want to know your favorite game. I said, okay, it's Cosmic Encounter. Oh, okay. It means nothing to them. But it's interesting. They said, do you want to know what my favorite game is? It's Phase 10. And I said, oh, interesting. Don't watch my channel. No, but I just thought that was funny. She was like, oh, it's such a cool game. All right, great. Check out Ticket to Ride when you get a chance. But no, I don't get recognized very often. I tell you, I have a Carcassonne tie. When I wear that out in public, people always stop me like, that's a great tie. What is that? It's Carcassonne. Huh? So while board game is still growing and growing and growing, it's still not growing to the point where everyone knows about it yet. So anyhow, let's see. I'll be doing the next live Q&A will be next Monday, maybe. I just realized that I may be on the road next Monday. We'll see. It depends. A lot of things hinge around the jury duty. My jury duty starts on Wednesday this week, and so I'm hoping that it's just a day or 2 or 3, and that doesn't bleed into the following week, but we'll have to wait and see. Well, that's about it for this time, guys. I really appreciate you watching. It is late here. It is time for me to go to bed so that I can get up and start working tomorrow. And I got all these things here. I got some new games. I got new dice that showed up today. I have all my DC dice here ready to talk to you about which ones are my favorites and why. Some really cool stuff in that. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're doing a top 10 list this week. Top 10 Rio Grande games. I already have my list made for that one. So I don't know, guys. I appreciate this. And thank you all for watching very much. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.